All right, here we go. This is a shir, understanding the Ger Toshav according to the different days. We're going to start literally from creation, but the Chumash Sefer Bereshis, and why it's important from Sefer Bereshis. All the way through the Chumash, Tanakh, Chazal, Talmud, Midrash, Kabbalah, Shasan, Paiskim, contemporary times, Hasidus, Kabbalah today. So, okay. It starts in Bereshis. We have Adam Arishon. Adam Arishon receives Masorah, the Torah, from the Eibishter, from the Sefer Raziel, all these things. Right? These are given klalim. Nobody really discusses them. By the time you get to Chanoch, you have this idea of a God-fearing, serving type of individual. By the time of Noach, you have the Parshas Noach. So you get out of Sefer Bereshis, you understand there's some kind of Avodas Hashem going on, largely Avodah Zarah, idolaters. Zohar actually says that Shes was given the rights of that tzaddik, the derech of tzidkis. Klal Yisrael was given Shabbos at Sinai. So from Shes to Sinai is the derech of an Eved Hashem today. By the time of Noach, you have starting to formulate this idea of serving Hashem, right? Then you have the three sons of Noach, which are the only place in the entire Chumash that Bnei Noach are called by name Bnei Noach. You have Avraham come in Parshas Lech Lecha. The Midrash Tana de Eliyahu teaches that Shem, we call him Shem HaGadol, Shem HaNavi, right? Actually, was waiting 400 years to give the Torah to Avram Avinu. Right? Shem is Malki Tzedek and Harbayis, and Avraham made Gerim. This is the Midrash in Chazal and Avram Avinu. He and Sarai made Gerim. The Rambam's going to say in the Mishnah Torah, this is going to go from Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, making Gerim, which all in fact studied in the base Midrash of Shem and Aver. One is the base Midrash Shem, one is the base Midrash Aver. Look in the Bala Torah, the Parshas told us, in the beginning, or Parshas Vayetze, excuse me. Then you're going to have Yosef Atzadik was a Chacham. Look in the Onkelos, all the psukim of Yosef with Paro. And again, the Perushim want to taina that Yosef was great because he studied in the base Midrash of Shem and Aver. Same too with Binyamin. This is what the Pashup Shad of Ben Zekunim. They were Talmidei Chachamim from that school. That closes out Sefer Bereshis. Alpi Kabbalah, Tamar marries Yehuda, Tamar being the daughter of Shem. So then you have kind of a Nisr derech of achieving the same goal. Once you get into the other rest of the books, wait, can you grab that, please? Can you grab that, please? Sorry about that. So then when we get into Shemos, we're going to have the Gula out of Mitzrayim. And that now the language of Ger is going to start to emerge as we go to Sinai. You have the waters of Mara. Moshe Rabbeinu's Mefarish Torah, 10 mitzvahs, not the 10 commandments, 10 mitzvahs. And Ksas Parshas Torah at the waters of Mara, where the would-be Gerim of the world were there and the eventual Bnei Yisrael were there. What are the 10 mitzvahs? 7 laws of Noah, plus Para, Duma, Dinim, and Shabbos. Some say Kibbud Av V'Aim as well. Sinai is going to come. Those that wish to go with their souls go to 613, become Bnei Yisrael. The people, the Amim, are the 7 laws of Noah, Gerim. From that point on in Shemos, you have the distinction in Lashon, Bnei Yisrael, and Amim, different types of nations. Now you're going to get interested into the whole Erev Rav, the Taf, the Nashim, all the different Lashinas through Sefer Shemos. You're going to get statutes such as love the Ger, don't taunt the Ger, you are a Ger, love the Ger, this and that the Ger. 46 times in the Chumash, you're going to be warned on the Ger. Where it's Ger Stam, it can be either a convert or non-Jew. Bava Metzia deals with this like a Baal Tshuva. Even a Baal Tshuva is called a Ger when he does Tshuva. Yesterday he was eating Chazir. Don't say yesterday you were eating Chazir and today all of a sudden you're Kaddish Kadoshim. It's also to taunt him. This is in conjunction with 1932 and 33 in Vayikra. You will rise for a zakin, a rabbi who was a makabel chachma, as the tefillah of Allah tzaddikim al Chasidim and Shmona Esrei is brought down by the Maharal of Prague. Once you get into Bamidbar, you have more of a conversion thing. Chapter 15, verse 15, Kachem Kager. Some people will convert, some will remain Ger. Dvarim, more of the same. Sefer Yehoshua, you're going to have the Kenites, offspring of Yisro, that remain Ger. How do we know that Yisro did not become a convert Jew? Because nobody said he became a convert Jew. The entire sugya is in the Midrash and in the Yerushalmi, Masechta Megillah. Only nafkamina is which carbon did he bring. If it was before Sinai or after Sinai, nafkamina, was it a korban oila or a korban shlamim? No way. Either way, he didn't convert. That's a kasha. How could it be he's not a Jew and he brought a shlamim? That's the Gemara's kasha. How could it be? The answer is in the future, in the end of days, they bring a pasuk from Shir Hashir as a raya that the Gerim of the north and the Galil will bring the shlamim into the base of Mikdash, may be built soon in our days in Yerushalayim. Amen. So that's the Chazal. That's the Navi. That's the history. It's the Chumash. Once you get out of the Tanakh, in the times of Bayei Sheni, there's texts that suggest there were Gerim living amongst the Yudim. Hanukkah tells a little bit of the story. Purim tells a lot of the story. It's actually a mitzvah of Purim, but Farish by Rashi, the Gerim, non-Jews, have a portion of Purim. It's because there's a Kasuv and Brat and Rashi that the Gerim are to keep Purim. Once we get into Chazal, we're talking about the Mishnah, the Gemara, Rishalmi, Bavli, and the various Midrashim. You're going to get into the terminologies. Chasidi, Amos Ha'olam, Akum, Nachri, Ger Toshav, Ger Tzedek, Ger Gamor, Gerim Brurim, Ger Mordechai Esther, Ger Yarios. Anything else? Tzat Geris. All of our friends, the Gerim. This is going to be Latin. Orov Totav says Unkelis in Parshas Rei, which Parshas Rei is a pasuk that has to be a non-Jewish ger because you give the nevela to the ger, which that mitzvah is even shaykh today in Galus. No yovel. If you have nevela, you give it to the ger or of a totav, non-Jew, or you sell it to the nachri. For this reason, we learn now you have a mitzvah chayuso to the Ger Toshav, and you cannot receive a gift from a nachri. Every pasuk you have to ascertain in context. If it's a Jew, if it's a goy, if it's both. The Malbim commentary seems to be the pshat on these matters, teaching in the Diktuk and Lashon how to ascertain which ger at all times is being spoken of. Once we get out of Chazal, where the terminologies, let's say once upon a time, were clear, right? Even in the Zohar, in the Midrash, Kabbalah, everything you have words like Lehit Gayer. Antinonus. What's the name? Antinonus. He was a Ger Tzedek, but clearly not a Jew. So again, Onkelos, all these things. The Ger of the Antoninus. That's right. The Ger of Chazal, the Ger of Tanakh, always must be ascertained what type of Ger he was. Nafkamina Yisro, Nafkamina Rachav, Nafkamina the Rechabites. All the different ones, Bathsheba, Nitzevit, David Amelech's mother, everybody, Ruth, even Adam Arisha, right? What type of Avram Avinu, the Av the Gerim, all of them. What kind of ger was it? The Chazal say, but again, as everybody says, it's the oral Torah that tells us how to understand the Torah. So now you have the Rishonim, and the Rishonim's job was to bring from the Chazal and tell us what the Chazal said. From there you have the Rishonim writings. And that's where the sugi of the ger really takes hold. And you get into the Rishonim and the Achronim. Not to mechadish a deya or a position, but to mevarer and understand the Tanakh and the oral Torah Shebal Peh, the Chazal of these matters. So let's go ahead and start with that view of the Chazal, all the way through the Rishonim, into the Achronim, into Halakha L'Maisa, into our friends of today. The major Makor Sugiyas are Makus 9a, about Ger Toshav, who accidentally kills a Jew. Do we kill him or does he get gullus? That Sugya is impossible to understand unless you understand there's more than one kind of Ger Toshav. One Ger Toshav, what do you call a Canaanite who does business with Jews in a biblical time period, i.e. with Yovel? You call that a Ger Toshav Akum. He's only Ger Toshav. He is Ger, a stranger. Toshav dwells there. We deal with him financially. He's an idolater. The lowest common denominator that he's kosher. He's a Muslim, which they use for the Heter Mechira. He's simply a non-idolater. And Muslim is the lowest common denominator because their book protests to not engage in open idolatry. They were used in concerning affairs with Jews all the way until your friend, what's his name, Streichman, whatever his name is this year.
George Streichman.
There you go. The other sugiyas are Yavamas 48b, concerning the Ten Commandments, like Begercha Asher Sharecha is the keepers of Shabbat. Ramban says it's Ger Toshav. Everybody else says it's Ger Tzedek. The Ger Tzedek is an Eved. The Eved that we're speaking of, he accepted the mitzvahs, Lefi Avdus, but not Taryag. He accepted them as an Isha, a lesser amount. Therefore, he is not a convert, but he is an Eved called a Ger Tzedek. However, the Shulchan Aruch says if he takes on his mitzvahs, Lefi Ben Noyach, now he's a Ger Tzedek called a Ger Toshav, because he can do more mitzvahs. In a Zman Yovel Noyeg, he may be called Ger Toshav. Without Yovel, we will say he's Ka Ger Toshav. Nafkamina, of the Ten Commandments, who is it that can keep Shabbos? Is it a slave, Eved, Sachir worker? Or is it a Baal Tshuva non-Jew? For that you need to see Krisis 9a. 9a is a Ger Toshav Shabbat. There's Tvei Din in there, two Mashmut. If it's an Eved Akum Ger Toshav, the only restriction is he is not to do malacha for you, his rabbi, or your kehila. However, he may make coffee for himself. It is a Zman Yovel Noyeg. If it's Zman Yovel Lo Noyeg, the Shulchan Aruch goes under different ways that this can be achieved, that he is still by you in your Rishus, and he is still not to become a Shabbos Goy. Under the header, a Hilchos Shabbos Amira Lagoy. If he's a kosher Ger Toshav, he is not an Eved, he's not Toshav, he's not a Sachir, he's a Baal Tshuva Goy, accepted the 7 laws of Noah. You still cannot have him make you coffee. He can make coffee for himself. He is by under no way, shape, or form a Shabbos Goy to you. That's Krisis 9a, working with Yavamas 48b, working with Makkos 9a, and ultimately Avodah Zorah 64b, Ezahu Ger Toshav, either one who has rejected Avodah Zorah in front of 3 Chaverim, B, one who has accepted the 7 laws of Noah, C, all Kul Torah Kula Chutz Medvar Achad, i.e. eating the Vela, like our friend Orova Totav and Parshas Rei. There's your Chazal. With the various Midrashim in Agaritas in Chazal, Antoninis, and all of your other friends, and especially your Tanakh friends that the Chazal speak about. Once we go from there, now we have the Shitas in their Makor. We got the Gemaras, we got the Psukim, right? The historical precedent. The Gerim were exiled at the end of Churban by his Rishon, brought back at Purim by his Sheni, headed out again at the end of by his Sheni, at his destruction. The religions were established, the Perushim and the Sadukim, all these things. In Hanukkah was a Ger, all the Gerim mixed in there. At the time of Pumbedisa, the Gerim were there. They were called the Biri Lev because they didn't want to convert. That's where the split happened. That's where Gerim and Jews stopped marrying. And the Jews went their way, the non-Jews went their way, and the convert issue became the protocol because it was too confusing for Jews to hang out with Gerim. When Jews were able to marry Gerim, like the Yafat Toar mitzvot, such as the Rambam brings in Isuri Biyah, chapter 14, the nafkamina was you could have a Jewish child with such a wedding. But if you didn't do it right, much like Lot and his 2 daughters, you only had Tzaddik can do that in the 7 laws of Noah. Thus they took on themselves not to do it because frankly it's disgusting and nobody wants to do it. So to here, it's not exactly Kedai for Gerim and Jews to do a Puravu. The nafkamina, if you do it wrong, Soirer or Moirer, you get a wayward child. See Avshalom ben David HaMelech to see what happened there. To which the Talmud Bracha says that is akin to Gog v'Magog in your own family is brought down in Tillim, I think 2 or 3 or 4. I forget which 2. It's Talmud 2. Clear? Now we're going to go into the Rishonim. Okay, we have the Gemara in Erechin. It says the Ger Toshav is not Noyeg Ad Zman Yovel. Everybody takes that as the gospel, as if that's the thing, that's the klal. What they don't understand is that it's part of the Iker Deya, and there's a much larger Deya at hand here. How do we know that? Because we've already seen the Chazals, we've already brought down the Tanakh, we've already got precedent. Jethro, maybe, the Tzad, did he convert, did he not convert? Right, we have historical precedent. We have Makkos 9a, there's a Ger Toshav Akum, there's a Ger Toshav Kosher, all these different terminologies. The Rishonim were Isaac in the terminologies and the Lashonis. Our job is to understand the Shitas of the Rishonim, brought through the Achronim, until the Psak Halacha, much like any other halachic issue that we have to deal with, correct? So I don't know if we're going to go in order of history from this point on, but let's now talk about the Rishonim, okay? We have several Rishonim that are here and present and accounted for. For example, let's go from just what pops in my head. The Shita of the Miri, he is a famous Shita on this. He's going to say a 7 Law of Noah follower. Once he progresses from the Chasidim Olam, he becomes kosher, he can learn and do more. He has a Chelik Olam Haba. The Ramchal brings this in Derech Hashem. Omas Olam, they have a Chelik Olam Haba. The Rambam brings this as well. Hilchos Malachim, chapter 8, halachos 10 and 11. Ger Toshav and Chasidim Olam, Yesh Lehem Chelik Olam Haba. You should be medayik in the mem of Mechasidim Olam. Notice I did not say Chasidim Olam. We said Mechasidim Olam. Therefore, we see there's a darga of the Chasidim Olam, the Omas Olam, sorry. The Omas Olam is like an American that his government officials tell him, Israel's a friend of ours. He then wears a nice big pin, and when our friends go to visit him in Kentucky, he says, my heart's with Israel. That is the Omas Olam. Just for doing that, he has a Chelik Olam Haba, and he's not like a Jew, and he may be a very nice chap. Then there's something called the Chasidim Olam. These are your Holocaust people that save the Jews from being killed because they simply love Israel. It's not logical. They don't know why. Chasidim Olam, a greater Olam Haba, but not like a Jew. Then there are those from the Chasidim Olam, the Chasidim Olam. They are graduated out of them. They have understood that there's a God of Israel, Torah's Moshe. They want to do more. They're going to come into the 7 laws of Noah. They're leaving behind the Geder of Nachri. And now, Rambam, Hilchos Malachim, chapter 10, Halacha 9, 7 laws of Noah. Anyone that goes more than that is Chayav Misa, i.e. also Isaac B'Torah, and Shvisas Shabbos. However, in the very next halacha, he changes the lashon from Akum to Ben Noyach, showing that one can be graduating out of the level of Chasidi Omos Olam, Nachri, from the Chasidi Omos Olam, Ger Toshav where it applies, not Ger Toshav Akum. You may also call this Ben Noyach Kosher. Ben Noah Kosher means he is no longer the status of an Amalekite. Under no way can he die as an Amalekite. If you wager Milchamas Reshus or Milchamas Mitzvah, he cannot be subject to death. If you call it the peace, he does tshuva. He is Lihit Gayer. Lihit Gayer, if he wants to become Jewish, is Lihit Gayer conversion. If he goes through the process, Lihit Gayer, Ksat Geris, 7 laws of Noah, plus, i.e. Rambam, chapter 10, Halacha 10, Hilchos Malachim. That Ben Noah Kosher is not a din Amalek. He is not to be killed. He is also out of the darga of Amim. Yatzim Echlal Amim. If he does a shchita, it's a kosher shchita b'di'evid. Mostly your questions about 10th man and the minion, b'di'evid, one day he can fill in, but a real B'nai Yisrael is always the Ikar Adin. 10 men is preferable, even Lechachila, even b'di'evid. Shas Hadachak, consult your local rabbi. Now, we're going to go from there to the level of the Rambam. The Rambam, we've stated several facts about the Yovel. Let's go ahead and get some precedent here. It's not exactly the Rambam. Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Rebbe Zaken min Chabad. He brings on the Shulchan Aruch regular Shulchan Aruch, the Machaber, and there's Shulchan Aruch Harav. There's a Ger Toshav Akum Sachir. He's a worker. He's a Shabbos goy, and he is not Jewish. He's not a convert. He's not a Ger Toshav Baal Tshuva. He is literally a goy mamish. He does not take effect until Yovel. However, the pasuk in the Chumash refers never to Ger Tzedek, never to Ger Toshav. There is ger, and there's ger v'toshav, and there is sachir, and there is toshav. The Chazal shitas are wrapping themselves around these words. Toshav is basically an evid. A sachir can be an evid, and it can be just a worker. Basically the same category, generally looking into the Zman Yovel Noyeg. If it's not Zman Yovel Noyeg, you can make a Toshav Evid Mamish even today. And if he wants to convert to Islam for the sake of helping you build your patio, the Shulchan Aruch, the Taz Magin Avraham, in Hilchas Shabbos 304 Shulchan Aruch, he is allowed to, but is not preferred because his Christian friends will kill him. As a sakana nefashos to do so. However, he has a little trick he can do. Now, from that position, we have a problem. We're just going to think that we only have one kind of Ger Toshav. For that, we have the beginning of our Deya. Every Isser we have on a Goy, if he cannot learn Torah, he can't do mitzvahs, he can't do anything, they brought you Ger Toshav, Akum, Evid, all of these things. There's another world, Ger Toshav, that's not Akum. The Rebbe of Lubavitch brings this down in his Sichos, Chelik Kaf, Vav, Aleph Parshas Yisro, Chelik Lamed Aleph, pages 126 and 127, Parshas Mishpatim. Why do I mention the Rebbe of Lubavitch now? Because he is one of the latest people to put this sugya together chronologically. And he refers back to all of our situations. He quotes the first Rebbe, who quotes the Shulchan Aruch, who first brought down halacha lamaisa of a Ger Toshav Akum. Therefore, it is pertinent to view Chabad in a halachic mindset as per this sugya. I'm aware of the fact that they are Hasidus. They also happen to do halacha from time to time. Anybody that knows Hilchos Shabbos knows that the Shulchan Aruch Harav is a major player in understanding halacha lamaisa in halacha lamaisa. So now, with all that said, let's look at the Rambam, Yisuri Biyah 14:7 and 8. There's other locations in the Rambam, for example, Hilchos Malachim, chapter 8, halachas 10 and 11, and chapter 10, halachas 9 and 10. But we're going to focus on Yisuri Biyah 14:7 and 8, because that's the location you find the Ravid. Ravid argues on the Rambam, and that is the first exposure of our Machlekes Rishonim that shows the two different Deyas Lagamri. The Chiddush is that the Rambam actually does not hold like his own Deya. For example, in Tevilas Kalim, you'll see, is it a mitzvah deraisa or rabbanan to do Tevilas Kalim? The Ron will say that the Rambam says it's the rabbanan, but the Ron would say if he were to himself learn it, it would be deraisa. So you can have different Rishonim arguing on one Rishon with different outcomes. Therefore, there's a Rambam that people say is the Rambam, and then there's the Rambam. One is called the Das Rambam, and Das Rambam Lefia Kollel Rishonim. It's not a steer, it's how people learn the Rambam. Again, see Hilchas Tevilas Kalim, how you can have such a case. Look at the Ron commentary, how you get two Rishonim of the Rambam, whether or not Nafkamina it's the Deraisa or the Rabbanan to Tevilas Kalim. Let's go with the fact that the Rambam, let's start with the Deya that it's an Akum. All of the Ger Toshav in the Rambam would be on the Hilchas Akum. It's an Evid. It's not Nogeya until Zman Yovel Noyeg. If you want to say the Rambam is not always talking about an Evid or Akum, then you have to understand which Ger Toshav at which time is which law. Is it Shaykh to the Yovel? Is it not? It's very complicated with all the nomenclature. Chasidim Olam, Mechasidim Olam. Therefore, the Ravid comes on cue and says, I disagree with the Rambam. If you want to take Pashup shot in the Rambam, Lafi Pshuto, that it's a Ger Toshav Akum Evid, Lafi Zman Yovel Noyeg, Ravid comes to say, no, you can have a Ger Toshav Efilo Bizman Shalo Yovel Noyeg. Meaning, if you have a goy who does the Zion mitzvahs, he doesn't lose his identity simply because the Jews are in Galus. But if it's an Evid, yeah, he loses his identity. I'm not a Jew in the land of Israel if there's not a Yovel. I'm a guy in Israel. Therefore, he's not my Ger Toshav building my patio. He's a guy. What do you call that guy? If he wants to become an Evid, then I become his Jew. Now we have laws in the Shulchan Aruch Simon's Shin, or Dalad Shin, Dash, say backwards for that reason, right? To understand the halakha is why he would be Ger Toshav, and all the laws of Ger Toshav would come inside. Nafkamina Yayin, can he be around your wine? and the other nafkamina is l'shem avdus, how to have a slave nafkamina on Shabbos. Can he make me a cup of coffee? Those are the ikar dayas lefi the Rambam arrived at machlekes. How you doing? So we've covered the Rambam. If in fact there is no valid daya opposite the Rambam, then you would have halacha l'maisa. The Rambam quoting the Erachin. I think it's 29A or B. I think it's A. There's no ger toshav atzman yovel noyeg, and the best that people could do is be ger nachri akum, trying to do the 7 laws. Maybe you can find a case of ben noyeg kosher. That's where we get into the other day. We're going to get there. Hold that thought. Those that say that they're the Rambam, they would tie in. There's no way to ever become to do a mitzvah ka'isei, like a Jew to get schar for his mitzvahs, and then not until Zman Yovel Noyeg. Okay. Ravid says throw that all out. He can do Ger Toshav today. Now, from that position forward, if we're going to get into is there another daya, we got to know the bullet points in the daya. So let's start knocking out the dayas, right? One daya is the Rashba. The Rashba says all Lashon Gerushin is Gayir, usually used for a convert, can equally be used for a Ger Toshav. We say that a convert is like a newly born child in Yevamos 48b. The Baal HaTorah brings the same Lashon in Parshas Sefer Devarim. Remember, Ger Yito Malmana. Remember that pasuk. And the Baal HaTorah brings that. Why is it ambiguous? The Rashba says that is always ambiguous. There's the Rashba. The Rebbe brings the Rashba to show that there's a Ger Toshav that has Gerus Ksat Gerus. There's 2 ways to convert or take on Gerus. The normal way to take on 613 now, the Mikveh Dam, all these things, the Bris Milah. The other way is through Ksat Gerus, which is the Ger Toshav Bal Tshuva, not an Evid, not an Akum. He takes on the 7 laws of Noah. He is removed from the Darga of Amim. He's not an Amalekite. And he takes on mitzvahs of the Rambam, Hilchos Melachim, chapter 10:10, like tzedakah and doing mitzvahs. He eventually becomes mitzvah v'oisei, and he gets schar for his mitzvahs, and he grows up, and he eventually is the 3rd day of Avodah Zarah 64b. He can do kul Torah kula chutz eating nevela. Why? Because the ikar mitzvah of a Ger Toshav is nevela. That is the basis or the basis of giving him the nevela for mitzvah chayuso. We have to sustain him, which the Rambam says always mitzvah through the mitzvah of tzedakah. Therefore, if you tie into the Rambam says Ger Toshav Akum, it's not a steer to say that we have a mitzvah chayuso lafi is mitzvah or the mitzvah of a Jew to give the Ger Toshav Akum Eved tzedakah. Then you have a famous Ritva. The Ritva says there's 3 dargas of non-Jew. A goy, idolater, akum, regular guy, goes to church, he's a nice guy. Maybe he's almost a oilam. Maybe he's becoming a chasidi almost oilam. For him to be mechasidi almost oilam, he becomes what's called ben noyach. A ben noyach yatsa mechlal amin. He is not a goy. His shchita is kosher. We have a mitzvah deraisa l'chayuso. That is the psak halacha of the Rebbe when giving the sikha, and his mashma, that is the shita of the Ravid. The only reason why he's not called a Ger Toshav, which is the 3rd day, the 3rd shita, or darga of the Ritva, is because without 3 chaverim or based in proper, we can't make him on an official level of Ger Toshav. But now that's where the Machlekes Rishonim really hits. It's not comparing the 2 dayas. Nobody really holds by the original daya that the Rambam says a Ger Toshav is Akum. Only those that don't understand the Rambam say that's a daya. And they have that right. But no Rishon holds that way. Only late Achroinim. But for the Rishonim that understood the Rambam will understand that the Ritva would say that the Ger Toshav, the Machlekes is, how do you conduct based in? Does he reject the Avodah Zarah and based in, but he takes on the 6 other laws by himself? Does he have to have based in? Is based in a chumrah? Is it 3 chaverim? What are 3 chaverim? Are they Talmidei Chachamim? The Rogatchover Gon says, in the name of the Ritva, brought by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, because we're in Golos with no Zman Yovel, no based in, we say that the Ger Toshav Darg is really the Ben Noyich, who is not a Goy, not an Akum, it's the Chiyus on a Judah to sustain him. So you see, all the time, you're going to have the Ritva, the three Dargas, the Rashba, coming together, which is the Shita of the Ravid, on the Rambam, as if it's arguing on the Rambam. Now, the Rambam may be arguing this, but everybody, except for late Achronim, say he's not. Brings the Grease on the Rambam, right? The Brisker Shita, brought by the Grease on the Rambam in the back of the book, is that the Ravid agrees with the Rambam. And that is brought by most late Achronim to understand that the Rambam agreed with the Ravid. The Rambam was talking about one thing, and the Ravid was mashlim what he was not talking about. The Rebbe also did the same thing. He's saying that the Alter Rebbe in the Shulchan Aruch Harav was only talking about a Sachir, a Ger Toshav Akum. Nobody said he was being authoritative or exhaustive. So the Rebbe said, okay, guess what? He didn't bring everything, so we'll bring now what he didn't bring. A Ger Toshav, non-Akum, non-Ivid, non-Toshav, non-Sachir, non-Yovel, Baal Tshuva returnee, loves God, loves mitzvahs, Ksat Geras, as the Rebbe inscribed on his own pen in his Lichuti Sichas in both locations. Ksat Geras, which is the Lashon of Krisis 9a. Nafkamina, does he consider Saturday, or Shabbos day? Rashi says he is to keep Shabbos, because if he doesn't, it's like being an Akum. Now, why are you dropping idols if you're going to go back to being an Akum? In Krisis 9a, it's a perfect sugya once again. Just like Makkos. You can read a Ger Toshav Akum, and you are not to make me, the Jew, a cup of coffee. But you can make it for yourself, Bizman Yovel Noyig. If you're not Bizman Yovel Noyig, it's not Akum Evid. It is a Baal Tshuva Ger Toshav. It's Lamaisa, even today, it's a different Ger Toshav B'chlal. That is Krisis 9a. The Rebbe is coming to say that is the Iker Nafkamina. The Goy cannot do anything with Shabbos, like the Rambam says, Hilchos Malachim 10:9, he's Chayav Misa. But if it's a non-Jew doing Shabbos, not like a Jew, he's not Shomer Malacha, he's simply Shomer. Klal Yisrael does Shabbos today, I say Amen, and I don't do Avodah Zorah on that day. I dafka worship Hakadosh Baruch Hu. I learned Torah today. He's attached to Israel, fourth house of Israel, Kohen Levi Israel Ger. Dafka, why is it called that? For the Inyanim of marriages, see Kedushin 73. You see Rashi on the sheet of Eliyahu Navi in the end of days to clarify the yichus of people. Who can marry a mamzer? Who can marry all these different halalas? That's what the fourth house of Israel Ger is for. With that said, we have then the Ben Noya Kaisher can also be called the Ger Toshav. It's just different mashma'ut. The Ger Toshav can be a bit complicating and confusing. Some later Achronim, like Shem Mitzvah Hashem by Shawiner, and also a couple others farm, bring down Ben Noya Kaisher to show it's a Ben Noyach who is like Mahadrin of the Omas HaOlam. He's not Treif, he's not an Amalekite. He's a Chasidi Amos HaOlam. Again, all those different dargas. For all intents and purposes, if a Ben Noyachite doesn't go to Beis Din, he can call himself a Ben Noya Kaisher, a Filim Bizman Azeh, Yesh Lan Mitzvah the Rice of the Mitzvah the Chayuso. But for those that want to say that we don't have any shaykhs to Beis Din Mitzvah Chayuso, the Rambam is Evid, then we never get to Ben Noya Kaisher. We remain a Ben Noya Stam or Goy, and then we have Mitzvah Chayuso only the Mitzvah Tzedakah according to the Rambam. No one learns that way. That's one day of late Achronim. No but earlier opinions learned that way. The only reason why people go that way is because it sounds like that with a Zman Yovel Noyig. Unless you learn the Sugya, you would open the Rambam and see no Ger Toshav today is Ad Zman Yovel Noyig. You would close it thinking that's Halach L'Maisa Shvat Shalom Kol Tov. Once you open the Sugya and look at the Rive and you find the greater world of Ger Toshav, you realize it is very not Pashut. To see who we have here, we did the Rebbe, we did Ben HaKaisher, we did Rashba, we did the Shulchan Aruch, we did the Torah, we did the Voda Brura, we did 7 Mitzvahs Hashem, Rambam, Ravid, Chumash, Chazal, Midrash. Lashon Lehit Gayer can always be for convert. It can then be Ger Toshav. over Makor and Shas. Shulchan Aruch Harav, Seidinim, Akum versus Ger. The entire sugya, again, where there's an Isser, it's Akum. Where there's a Heter, a Rashus, it is Ger. Can a non-Jew learn Torah? Is it a mitzvah? No. It's not an 8th mitzvah, one of his 7 mitzvahs. Does he have Rashus as Mechasini Amos Ha'olam? Yes, he can do things. Not that he has to. It doesn't become binding or commanding. Is he liberated after he goes out in the Klal Amim to do certain things? To be the mitzvah v'aiseh? Yes. All hakol lafi deya. Everything is lafi the deya. It fits in every time. What is deya in your deya? If you have in kashrus, you have a sheet of the Rush, a sheet of the Rif, the sheet of the Rambam. We have a case of a fish from Antarctica. Is it kosher? You don't need to think about it. You close your eyes and you plug in the Rambam, the Rush, the Rif. Each time their sheet will work. What kind of salt do they sell in Antarctica? They sell Moishi Kleineman salt. The Rambam would say, it's hard salt. We cannot make that kosher. The Rif would say, no, I don't hold hard salt as treif. Kacha, the day is work. Here too. The day is work where it works, where it's revealed as an Akum source, where it's revealed as Ger, it's Ger. We'll end the discussion with Rav Moshe Feinstein, one of the later sources. The 3 most late Shitas, the Brisker Rav, who is brought by the Rebbe of Lubavitch, and Rav Moshe Feinstein. So the Rebbe gets Ger, Paskins like the Ravid, the Briskers Paskin like the Ravid, Rav Kook in the finding the Medina's Eretz Yisrael for the Heter Mechira, Paskin like the Ravid. The halacha is always like the Ravid, never like the Rambam. Because the Rambam never said what they say he said. Only today, when we don't want to be bombarded by non-Jews, as the Rav Moshe will show, we invent a shita by the Rambam. It is Lafim Shuto. It never was a shita or a valid deya. It has always historically been the Ravid. But there is such a case as a Yovel, Akum, Ger Toshav, all the way back to the Chumash. So in theory, there is a person the Ravid is not talking about. Right? You can make an Evid today. So it's not that the Rambam doesn't exist. It's that what non-Jew in their right mind would want to become a Muslim Evid to build your porch? He's insane. And the Taz and the Magin Avram say if he does, his Christian friends will kill him. Kol Shekain ISIS. No one's building your porch. So therefore, the Rambam is a useless deya today, unless you want to be an Evid. So those that want to bring in Noahites under the auspice of the Rambam are saying, make yourselves into great avadim, and therefore you never become ben Noach, never become ben Noach kosher, and you're not holding cell till Mashiach comes to make Zman Yovel Noach. Bad deal. As long as you say there's a Shita or Deya valid like the Ravid. Now that Shita will say, what Ravid? I only see Evid or Akum because you didn't open the book. So if Moshe Feinstein brings a tremendous Kiddush, there's no Gerim today, they cannot do mitzvahs. He's talking about the Messianics, seat on the belt loop kind of guys. If we advocate them doing mitzvahs, it'll become bad on Israel. The question is, what lashon does Rav Moshe use? Isaiah 56:3 talks about the Nilva, the Ger, the Sapachas on the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's a messianic prophecy that in the end of times the Gerim will come back. And there it's called the Bnei HaNecher with a Hey. The Iker of the Iker Adim Bnei HaNecher, they are good people. They're uncircumcised, but they're good people. I mean, they're saying like, look, I come from Goyim, I didn't get bris milah, I love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What do we call them again? Chasidi Amos HaOlam. And then they become Mechasidi Amos HaOlam. And they're not quite into Ger, kosher and all that. Right on the edge. Which is different and not to be compared to the Ben Necher, without the Hay. Those are called Gerim Grurim. Those in the end of days that come to convert themselves, wrapping the film the wrong way, claiming things that aren't them. What lashon does Rav Moshe use? Gam the Bnei Necher Shalom Nisgairu Mekayim Rak Mitzvah Shechayim Bnei Noyach. He's saying all these fake Jews all over the place in this modern era are B'nai Necher. They are usher today. Nobody trafed up or puzzled the Ben Noah kosher Baal Tshuva Ger Toshav. Even Rav Moshe allowed it. He was puzzling the ones that one side says become an Evid. Then they say no. Rav Moshe says you're not kosher either. Not until you become Ben Noah kosher, accept Torah Messinai as Moshe gave it, remove the darga of a Malach and Amim, enter the right way, Hilchos Malachim chapter 8, Malachos 10, 11, Ger Toshav b'Chasidim Osa'ilam, and be on your way to do the Sheva Mitzvahs as per all of the Rishonim, Achrayim, and Poskim. The Rebbe was one of the last ones to give the Sugya. It is a valid Iker Deya. It is a path called Ksat Geris. It always existed, always will exist. It is an option. They can either convert, they can remain akum, they can be idolaters, which they have a chiyuv one day. They can become avadim, they can even become Muslims. But is it not the Iker Shita to make them positive Noahites, doing the mitzvahs lishma, removing all weird dinim, going by the Iker valid deya of the Ravid? It is a valid deya afilu b'zmano. Kol shekain b'zman shayovo nayid, which is prophecy. The whole world will be Ger Toshav. Thank you for listening. Be well.